Thank you for joining me for another Quick Hits conversation. I'm Dr. Robyn. With me today, I have Dr. George Cheriyan, Dan Gramkee, and Gary Fredericks. And I want to ask the question, how do you organize your day to be the most productive? Gary, can you kick us off, please?
Yeah, sure. For me, it's more logistics at times and not at other times. Like if I'm out meeting with clients or out meeting with potential clients, I kind of want to schedule the meetings in a geographic area so that I can, put one to the other pretty quickly. Otherwise, I take parts of my day where I will schedule a block of time and say, this is what I'm going to work on reports, or I'm going to write something. I'm going to do all the stuff that I need to do at my desk. I'm going to try to get that done in a couple of hours. And I'll have a block of time where I'm meeting with employees and people on the team to get information and such. So,
yeah, Gary, it sounds like you are you a sole proprietor, pretty much?
No, I have a partner.
Oh, okay, yeah. It sounds like, I mean, I can relate to it because as a one man show, if you will. It's very interesting in how we have to coordinate our meeting days and our maker days, and it's very, I think it's very important, like you said, to just stay very organized and it's challenging. In one way, it's nice because you probably have most of the control of your schedule, but not all of it. But that also can be a downfall too.
True.
So I think you guys bring some really good points. And just to add on is, what do we mean by productive? And I think it depends on the individual's goals. So as someone who also has my own business, my own practice, but also working with people in achieving some goals, so specifically health related, what I find is if you could allot at least a moment of your day, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, going up to an hour, depending on what you want to accomplish, that could be the most productive day. For instance, there hasn't been one day where I went to the gym and I said, wow, that was a waste of time. Every time I've gone to the gym, I'm like, even if it was the busiest, most craziest, hectic day, that was worth it.
10 minutes, that's like a perfect amount for meditation. So I've actually introduced meditation as part of my workday recently. Right. And because, I've been reading about it for a long time. And so in that 10 minutes, I calm myself, but I actually see the day. I see the day ahead of me. And I think that really, it helps, prepare, organize, and it helps, hit the marks, whatever they might be for that day.
I love that point, because I know for me, to make my day the most productive, it actually starts the night before. And so I don't have an alarm that wakes me up in the morning, but I do have an alarm that tells me stop what you're doing and go to bed at night. The other thing that I like to do is I schedule things that are similar together. So all of my quick hits get recorded back to back to back. Client calls get done back to back. Introduction calls back to back, so that I'm not switching gears between I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. I can do them all at once. And to your point, I think, Gary, you made the point that scheduling time to sit at my desk, if I'm going to edit video, that's what I'm scheduled to do. I don't pop in and out of that. And that helps me a lot.
Yeah, I say the problem that I have is that we have a lot of clients we deal with, and there's always emergencies that pop up, and kind of throws your whole schedule off.
And that's true. I mean, I'm on call for clients as well. And so, yes, sometimes that happens. And I think the key to that is being able to get back in to the moment when you get pulled out of it by an emergency. How do you get back in? I think that's key as well.
Something else I can say is I'm 64. I started working in the big boy world in 1982 on Wall Street, and my scheduling and calendar was a lot different back then than it is now. I've learned over time that you got to kind of schedule some time to get up and walk around, just contemplate life and contemplate yourself, take a deep breath. Back in the day when I was in my 20s, it was a 16, 18-hour day. Just everything was filled back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Never took vacations, never got sick. now I've learned that, you got to kind of stop and smell the roses. So,
Yeah.
And sometimes smelling those roses is actually, I feel sometimes makes it the most productive part of the day. Again, so what you define as productive, if we're goal oriented. And I mean, I think it's a mixture of being goal oriented and kind of like what you're saying, Gary, of smelling the roses and not being goal oriented, but rather learning how to be. There's a Taoist saying that comes to my mind that the master does nothing, yet everything is accomplished. And how can we do less, but also be more, be as productive? And that's kind of adding on to the question on how to be productive.
I can remember when I was working in corporate world, and then you look at you look at your calendar, and it was like, oh, meetings all day, and the knee-jerk reaction, gut reaction was, oh, I'm not going to get anything done that day. But it's how you approach it and what is productive, as you say, and meetings are if they're run well, assuming that they are productive, they are essential, and they are needed for all the points. Like Gary said, it's a meeting could be your next client, it could be your next paycheck, it could be and it also, I think there are checkpoints for the things that when you're just spending your maker days or whatever, making sure that they are running to their efficiency, because you could be putting in more effort than you need to, not enough effort. You might be ahead or behind, and if you don't have those meetings, then that you may not be ultimately as productive.
Another thing that I've learned recently is I might schedule 3 hours because I have to write an article, or I want to write an article or something like that. But then when the time comes, I have writer's block. Staring at the screen, and I can't figure out what I want to write. So I try to have a backup plan so that there's something else I can go to right away. I've also learned to schedule in, like if I schedule in a lunchtime, because at lunch I'll usually take a break. I'll go on and look at headlines on different news sites and things like that. But I know that my schedule is so flexible that I kind of schedule that somewhere between 10:30 and 2:30, because I know it's going to be different each day. And if I'm writing an article and I'm really getting into it, and I says, oh, 2 hours are up, I'm going to keep going, if I can.
I love that, Gary, because you can be the greatest scheduler in the world, but you cannot schedule inspiration or, creativity.
Yeah.
Right. And, going back to what you guys are saying is, the concept, at least in the physician world, they call it physician burnout. And I'm sure it happens on Wall Street. I'm sure it happens in any field where, we think about efficiency and doing as much as possible. But how do you balance that, trying to be productive in that sense with kind of going on what we're also, balancing that with what we're alluding to, which is time to self-reflect, kind of step out, come back. Because oftentimes when people are burnt out, they make mistakes. And it could be critical errors too. It could be things made out of emotion, or decisions made out of emotion, or not thinking at all because you're lacking sleep. I think what you're saying, Daniel and Gary, that there needs to be time for reflection, perhaps even during the workflow.
Yeah. I schedule 15 minutes between all of my meetings. Like I schedule a meeting and then I have a 15-minute break, and that helps me get up, get some water, walk around, do that kind of thing. I also make sure that I keep a list. So if someone cancels on me, I consider that give back time. Like that's time for me to be able to work on my list or do the little things. And my list is two separate. I have things that I need time to do. And then I have the little tiny, this is a 5-minute job, do it in between or do it whenever you have a chance, so that I can just jump in and get a lot done that way. So that's really been helpful for me as well, to keep my balance, make sure I'm taking time for myself and getting as much done as I can on a daily basis. So that is our 10 minutes. I'm gonna have to cut us off there. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I've enjoyed it immensely, and I look forward to talking to each of you again very soon.